And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again with another video in my series about the Marvel Zombies universe and just doing a quick reading order and overview of that series. One of the things I do on my channel is I do reading orders sometimes of closed comic universes. I've done it for the Marvel Noir universe. I've done a really comprehensive one for the DC New 52, which took ages. So today, this is the second one in my series about the small but actually quite complicated Marvel Zombies universe, which people think is relatively small but actually contains 127 single issues and counting. And to that end, I created the map that I'm showing you here. This is one of my reading maps, and I'm just going to dive into it, pick up where we left off last time, and continue from there. So last time we were here, we were looking at the prologue to Marvel Zombies, which are these two Ultimate Fantastic Four volumes, so I'm not going to go into that here. Let's dive into it properly. So, the very first series you needed, Marvel Zombies. This was written by Robert Kirkman. Now, Robert Kirkman is the guy behind The Walking Dead comics, and behind the Walking Dead TV series. He's written a lot of other stuff as well, like Invincible and The Astounding Wolfman and Outcast and things like that. But for our purposes here, he's the zombie guy. And at the time that Marvel Zombies came out, Walking Dead was really the only thing he was famous for, given that Invincible remains one of the most underrated comics ever. So as the zombie guy, they hired Robert Kirkman. They said, can you make Marvel Zombies? Which he did. It was 5 issues. And that's the cover of issue 1. It's okay. Not brilliant, not bad. I mean, to be honest, in my estimation, it's not as good as the preceding Fantastic Four ones you can see here. But anyway, that was it. 5 issues. Pretty good. And it's released in an oversized hardcover. Now, next is not Marvel Zombies 2. Next is a one-shot, which is this. It's a one-shot comic called Marvel Zombies Dead Days. Now you'll notice here there's this little line off to the side, and the reason for that is that Dead Days itself is a sequel to a series called Marvel Zombies vs. Army of Darkness, which wasn't published, well, it was published by Marvel, but also it's like a collaborative thing with another publisher. Army of Darkness is one of those comic storylines which tends to cross over lots of things. So there's Army of Darkness versus G.I. Joe versus Vampirella, etc., etc. So in this case, it was Marvel Zombies versus Army of Darkness. It's a 5-issue series. It's really hard to find. I haven't read it. It's not on Marvel Unlimited, I assume because of licensing issues. But after those 5 issues, you then move into Dead Days. And to be honest, I read Dead Days and I didn't find any problem with reading it. I didn't feel like I'd missed out on anything. I didn't find it hard to follow. It feels like a very obvious thing to follow directly from Marvel Zombies. Actually, technically, it's a bit of a prequel to that. But it's fine. It's a decent story. Marvel Zombies at Dead Days then moves on to Marvel Zombies 2. But before we even look at that, we should look at what's over here on the right. What we've got here is Black Panther. There are 3 issues of Black Panther, which is volume 4 of Black Panther. That was published from 2005 to 2008. And 3 issues of that, which are issues 28, 29 and 30, are also part of the Marvel Zombies universe. I know, it's really weird. It's because Black Panther is at that time sort of travelling through dimensions and time travelling and all sorts. It's as confusing and odd as it sounds. But what it means is that after you read Marvel Zombies, the events optionally mean that you can go down here and you can have a look at these Black Panther issues and read those. If you don't read those Black Panther issues, you're not really missing out. They're more of a sort of, as you can see here, kind of like an optional side quest for the story, to be honest. But you can read them, feel free to. It's collected in a trade paperback collection called For the Hard Way, with 4 being spelled F-O-U-R. So those Black Panther issues optional. Anyway, either way, whether you read those or whether you read Dead Days, you then move on to Marvel Zombies 2. Again, written by Robert Kirkman and still in keeping with the same continuity as the ones above, Marvel Zombies and Dead Days and Marvel Zombies 2 and so on. It's 5 issues long, it's pretty dull, and it ends with what I consider to be quite a weak cliffhanger. Fair enough. Let's pan out a bit, and as we go down, you'll see I've got Marvel Zombies 3 over here, but it's on a separate line. And the reason for that, and this is really important, and something that took me a little while to get my head around, Marvel Zombies 3 are written in a completely separate continuity. They're nothing to do with the Marvel Zombies stories we've been talking about or reading about up until now. Marvel Zombies 3 is its own self-contained zombies universe, weirdly enough, and is written by Fred Van Lente. It's 4 issues long, It stars X-51 or Aaron Stack, depending on what you like to call him, as the main character, and it's actually a really great story. It's got that kind of like dark, acerbic humour that's really familiar to anyone that's read Next Wave by Warren Ellis, which is also a great series. And the Aaron Stack character and his depiction here is very much in the same vein as his depiction in Next Wave. In Marvel Zombies 3, he is an operative for something called Armour. So you would have heard of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is Marvel's S.H.I.E.L.D., and then you have S.W.O.R.D. and so on. Well, Armour is the alternate reality monitoring and operational response agency, hence Armour. I know, they love their acronyms. So Marvel Zombies 3 is completely unrelated to the Marvel Zombies stuff. It's starting off its own little internal continuity and universe. It's actually really good, well worth checking out. Now, it leads very clearly and directly onto Marvel Zombies 4, which is sometimes called Marvel Zombies 4 Midnight Suns. It continues directly on from Marvel Zombies 3. It's also written by Fred Van Lente. It's also 4 issues long. I found it too supernatural for my taste. If you watch my channel, you'll know I'm not a fan of supernatural stuff, of magic stuff. If I'm going to read something about zombies, I like it to have a bit more of a sci-fi virus related, sort of more technical focus rather than zombie voodoo. Marvel Zombies 4 very much goes down the supernatural route, and in terms of that, it actually introduces a character called Simon Garth. I'll show Simon Garth here. This is his Wikipedia entry. Simon Garth is an existing Marvel character. He's basically a zombie but a good guy, but he's not like an undead who can talk and happens to be dead. He's a proper zombie, like shambling around and incoherent, but he's kind of a good guy. I didn't know much about him, and Marvel Zombies 4, which we're going back to here, didn't really endear me to him either, so relatively ambivalent. So you'll see there, just coming off Marvel Zombies 4 off to the side, we've got a couple of random spin-offs. So let's dive into these. So Marvel Zombies 4 has a character in it called Deadpool, which is the decapitated head of a zombie Deadpool. Deadpool is then found here in this series, which is a limited series. It's a maxi series starring Deadpool, which is called Merc with a Mouth. It's 13 issues long, and it stars Deadpool from our Marvel 616, the standard Marvel universe, teaming up with Deadpool, the disembodied zombie head from Marvel Zombies. Now, that series, Merc with a Mouth, is collected in Deadpool Classic Volume 11, which you can get as a trade paperback. So if you want to check it out, please do. I haven't actually read it because I was like, look, that's not directly a Marvel Zombies thing. I'm going to read that when I do my Deadpool read-through, which I will do at some point. However, I do know that Merc with a Mouth is then followed by a direct sequel called Deadpool Corps. That's Corps as in C-O-R-P-S, which is a total missed opportunity as far as I'm concerned. They should have called it Deadpool Corpse and had an E at the end. Like, that totally would have worked. But anyway, Deadpool Corps is a sequel to Merc with a Mouth, which is a sequel to Marvel Zombies 4. And Deadpool Corps contains a 5-issue prelude to Deadpool Corps, and then the 12-issue Deadpool Corps series. That's all collected in Deadpool Classic Volume 12. So hopefully that makes sense. You've got Volume 3, Marvel Zombies 4, then Merc with a Mouth, and then Deadpool Corps. Like I say, collected by dots because it's kind of random. So let's go here. We've got back to Marvel Zombies 4. So what follows Marvel Zombies 4? Well, it's back in the main timeline. So the one that we started off with, Marvel Zombies 2. Then you have Marvel Zombies The Return, which continues in terms of where the cliffhanger for Marvel Zombies 2 was. It's not especially good. It's 5 issues long, and the issues have their own subtitles. So there's Marvel Zombies The Return Spider-Man, Marvel Zombies The Return Iron Man, and then Wolverine, Hulk, and Avengers in turn. Each of the issues is written by a different writer, and they have an interesting mechanic where the issues don't all follow one by one. They're actually split by several years between them, so you get to see how the zombie effect on the world happens in a very long-term sort of way. And right at the end of the 5th issue, it has something there which actually loops back right to the beginning of Marvel Zombies 1 and kind of explains where the zombie plague came from. Which is okay, I guess. Alright, so that's Marvel Zombies The Return. What's next? Surely it should be Marvel Zombies 5. It's not. It's this, which is called Marvel Zombies Evil Evolution. Now, this is going to take a second to explain. So, let's put a pin in the Marvel zombie stuff for now, and let's go over here. This is something called Marvel Apes. Actually, before we even look at Marvel Apes, let's look at this. So this is JL Ape by DC. Have you heard of JLA, Justice League America? This is JL Ape, Justice League of Apes. It was something that probably seemed like a good idea at the time, back in the late 90s, when these things often seemed like good ideas. And it was Superman, Batman, and all those guys in a universe where everyone was an ape. Like Planet of the Apes, basically. Well, Marvel saw that, and then in 2008 they were like, oh, it'd be quite cool if we did something similar, which brings us back to this, which is Marvel Apes. So they decided to do a 4-issue series of that, of what would happen if all the Avengers and all the X-Men and so on were actually apes. So that's the Marvel Apes series, 4 issues long. Wasn't very good. They then followed it up with a second season. Now, you'll notice there's a dotted line around this, and that's because, although this is the second season of Marvel Apes, and what they should have called Marvel Apes 2, they didn't. Instead, they have 4 one-shots that are all direct sequels to one another, and so form a series of 4, but all have their own separate names. So the first one is Marvel Apes Speedball Special. You can see the picture there. Then there's Marvel Apes Amazing Spider Monkey. Then there's Marvel Apes Grunt Line. And then there's Marvel Apes Prime 8. That's Prime and then the number EIGHT. So those 4 issues form the second season of Marvel Apes. And then that second season relates here. That eventually has a final single issue which encapsulates all the Marvel Apes storylines, which is here, Evil Evolution. And that's where the Marvel Apes meet the Marvel Zombies. Well, I hope that was clear. Hopefully you can see why I found this so confusing when I started to look into it. So there you have Evil Evolution, and that is the end of the standard universe Marvel zombie stuff that we started off with way back here. In fact, way back here with Ultimate Fantastic Four. So that whole line eventually ends there with Evil Evolution. So what comes next? Well, what comes next is Marvel Zombies 5, which is a sequel to Marvel Zombies 4. It's not very good. It still has the whole theme of them being working for Armor, and the Armor organization, traveling through dimensions and killing zombies and so on. It's 5 issues long. It's still written by Fred Van Lente, but as I recall, Aaron Stack is not in this, and it's just not very engaging, to be honest. So what happens next? Well, next, this one came out, which was Marvel Zombies Supreme. This is a complete standalone. It's based on the original Squadron Supreme. And by the original Squadron Supreme, if you know your Marvel, there's actually 2 Squadron Supremes. There's the original one, which was from Earth 712, back from the 80s and the 90s and stuff. And then in the 2000s, they actually relaunched Squadron Supreme as something called Supreme Power, written by J.M. Straczynski. And that was a different Marvel universe entirely. That was Universe 31916. I know that's complicated. Feel free to ignore the number. The point is, this isn't that new reboot. That new reboot was really, really cool. I've got all the comics. I might do a video on that one day. This is actually based on the OG original Squadron Supreme. It's a 5-issue series. It was very weak. And it's a total standalone with no sequels and no prequels. Random. Alright then, moving back along. So after Marvel Zombies 5, what did they then do? They then did something called Marvel Zombies Destroy, which is actually a sequel to Marvel Zombies 5. I don't know why they didn't call it Marvel Zombies 6. It's pretty poor. Again, there's no X-51, no Aaron Stack. It's 5 issues long, and it stars Howard the Duck for most of it. I'm not a fan of Howard the Duck. If you are a fan of Howard the Duck, please check this out. You'll like it. But not for me. And then panning out, right over here, we've got another random standalone, which was Marvel Zombies Halloween, which was a one-shot, which was really, really good, actually. I wasn't expecting it to be, but I dug it out and found it, and I thought, actually, that's really, really good. So, well worth checking out. Okay, hopefully that was clear. I know it's quite a lot, and there's still quite a lot for us to go through. We're going to go through all the stuff down here, and then these ones in red in the next video. But before we do, I just want to pan out and have a quick look at this map again. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Marvel Zombie Universe. So, What do you do if you want to read these? Well, you can read them by getting the single issues, by all means, and you can read them through Marvel Unlimited. But if you're going to do like a lot of people, you want to get the omnibus, there is a Marvel Omnibus. I'll show a picture of it here. It's called the Marvel Zomnibus. Marvel sometimes do that, like they call the Venom Omnibus the Venomnibus. So the Marvel Zombie Omnibus is a Zomnibus. And do you know what? Fair enough. It's a good marketing gimmick. So this is what it looks like. But if we come back to the map here, what you'll find is this red circle shows you where the omnibus actually is. So let's have a quick look through what issues are in the omnibus and what isn't. So the omnibus starts right at the beginning. You've got Fantastic Four, you've got Marvel Zombies, you've even got the Black Panther stuff included, you've got Dead Days. You don't have the Army of Darkness. Like I said, you can ignore it. Marvel Zombies 2, 3, 4. You don't have the Deadpool spin-offs. These are not included in the Zomnibus. Then you've got Return. This is the annoying bit. You don't have Marvel Apes Season 1. And you don't have most of Marvel Apes Season 2. But you do have the final issue of Marvel Apes Season 2, which is called Marvel Apes Prime 8. And then you have Marvel Apes Evil Evolution. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Prime 8 and Evil Evolution don't really make much sense unless you read all these other ones. But they're not included. So, mind how you go, really. It also includes 5 and Supreme as well, but it doesn't include these ones. It doesn't include Destroy or the Halloween special or the other stuff we're going to talk about next time. Okay, so that's if you're going to get the omnibus. However, as well as the omnibus, there's also 3 complete collections. Here's a picture of them here. And what the complete collections show is 3 trade paperbacks, standard trade paperback size, which are thicker and have slightly different contents than a normal trade paperback of these things would have, because it combines several series. But at the same time, it's slimmer than an omnibus. And do you know what? It'll be easier if I just show you what they include. So if I go back to the map here, this red line now shows you what's in Classic Collection number 1. It contains Fantastic Four, both parts of it, Marvel Zombies, Dead Days, and the Black Panther. If then you want to go to Classic Collection 2, let's have a look here. You'll see that contains Marvel Zombies 2, 3, 4, and The Return. This has got to make for such an incoherent reading experience, by the way. I don't know why you'd want to buy this, but if you do, just so you're aware, there's 2 completely different storylines running parallel. And let's look at the 3rd complete collection, which is here. So this one does that same thing of collecting Marvel Apes Prime 8 and only Prime 8, which is issue 4 of Marvel Apes 2, Evil Evolution, Marvel Zombies 5, Supreme, and then interestingly, Complete Collection 3, which is a trade paperback and isn't omnibus size or omnibus thickness or oversized. It contains this. It contains Marvel Zombies Destroy, which is the sequel to Marvel Zombies 5, and it contains the Halloween special. So if you're a bit of a completionist, you might want to actually get the 3 complete collections instead of getting the omnibus. Because again, the complete collection contains these 2, whereas the omnibus here does not contain those 2. What you do and how you do it is entirely up to you, ladies and gentlemen. I just thought I would try to offer a little bit of clarity for what actually ended up being quite a confusing reading process going into it completely cold. So, quick overview. This is the omnibus, the red line. These are the things included. It skips Army of Darkness. It doesn't include the Deadpool spin-offs, and it doesn't include most of Marvel Apes, but it includes some of Marvel Apes. And then it misses the very last few bits there itself. But if you want it, that's what's in it. I don't know if it's a whale or not. I know that when these things become whales, people get quite excited about them, so maybe that would be what sets you off. But that's entirely up to you. Alright, thanks for watching. In the next video, we're going to cover the stuff at the bottom here, which is this grey box, the second grey box, and then these other random bits. It's already quite a long video. I know this is quite confusing. So hopefully that's added a bit of clarity. So thanks. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and as always, please support the channel by heading over to the website on Amazon or the official No Gods or Kings website and downloading the first volume of my episodic prose novel about superheroes for free. It's free if you're on Kindle Unlimited, otherwise it's 99 cents or 99 pence, and I would really massively appreciate the support because it's what keeps this channel going. Please let me know if you have any questions or if you have any comments on these videos. Are you following through at home? Would it be helpful to have this map available for you to download separately, the same way I did for my DC New 52 reading order? Or are you okay just using the video? It's quite a small map, so it's quite simple. But I'm obviously open to doing whatever you guys want. Anyway, as always, please tweet me, please comment, please like, please subscribe, please support. And until next time, stay classy.